Marbella. She is the founder and CEO of Detained in Dubai, a UK-based organisation that focuses on the detention of foreign nationals in the UAE and other Gulf states. Thank you very much for taking the time to speak to us. Could you start by explaining more about why Ali Issa Ahmad was detained in the first place?
It seems that he was detained simply for wearing a shirt, a Qatar football shirt, and this is now a crime in the UAE to show any sort of sympathy towards Qatar. And this has been a major and ongoing issue that has disrupted the lives of many in the UAE. But I think in Ali's case, of course, he wouldn't be aware, having attended a football match where Qatar is actually playing, that it would be wrong to show support for the team that you are obviously supporting. So he was arrested and he claimed that he was mistreated by the authorities in Sharjah. He later then returned to the police station to make a report about the mistreatment and was then apparently charged with slandering the UAE authorities in making such a report. So I think, the problem here is obviously the UAE is using the dispute between Qatar and the UAE and other Gulf nations as a way to perhaps show Qatar that the upcoming 2022 match is going to be a point of dispute between the countries. And we've seen with football as well. Certain Qatari people have not been able to attend various matches, and it has been a point of contention. The fact that he is a British national is certainly going to raise the attention of the Foreign Office in the UK, and foreign nationals are getting caught up in what is this Gulf dispute that has to come to a head in some way.
I suppose the counter-argument is that the UAE have made it very clear for a while now that it is an offence to show sympathy to Qatar and that it is something that risks punishment by a fine or imprisonment. But in terms of the law being enforced, what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, the thing is with the UAE is that it's highly contradictory and arbitrary in the way that laws are enforced. For example, it is wholly illegal to drink alcohol as a tourist in the UAE because they don't have a license. However, that law is only enforced arbitrarily on some occasions, and therefore one would be forgiven for thinking that certain acts are illegal, whether that's drinking alcohol, holding hands, showing affection in public, sharing a hotel room with someone you're not married to, or, I mean, there's even gay clubs in Dubai that are frequented. So one would be forgiven for thinking that they are not going to get arrested for such offences.
Given that obviously a country is free to formulate and to enforce these laws, that is within their power to do, and that's perhaps a question of sovereignty. I mean, what is the appropriate response then from the international community?
I mean, the international community, I think one of the major problems with the UAE is that they are not clear about where they stand regarding tourism. They're not clear with their laws. Many of the laws need to be clarified in the media because they're simply not written in a way that anyone can actually understand or appreciate. And I think the UAE is promoting itself as a particular kind of tourist destination that where people can go and drink and have a good time, and where sex outside marriage is not going to be a problem. And the average tourist who visits Dubai is not going to think that what they are doing is illegal because it is done all of the time. And I think that the international community needs to force the UAE to make a decision one way or the other. If they want to encourage that kind of tourism, they need to reflect that in their legislation and their enforcement.
All right, well, thank you very much for sharing your thoughts with us, Radha Stirling, founder and CEO of Detained in Dubai.